client has asked me to take a look at some stone pines. They're the Italian stone pines, Pinus pinea. And my first observation is when you look up at the stone pines, you can see the coloration is a deep dark green, except for this area over here. There's a little bit of a yellowing going on. So I have to take a look at that and see what's going on there. The Italian stone pine is a species of tree that gets extremely large. Downtown Saratoga, the stone pine that's in Blaney Plaza with the big prop on it, across the street from the fire station, that was planted in 1918, and that's a good indicator of how big they can get. Now, stone pines have some positives, but they've also got some negatives. They are a species of tree that is recognized for having the ability, or we'll call it instability, with some of its branch structure, because quite often you develop weak crotches. This tree right here is a real strong potential for a split. Maybe not now, maybe not even in 10 years, but there's an awful lot of weight up there that is putting a lot of strain on this very tight crotch. Now, a lot of these trees show the same kind of configurations. If it's more of a wider crotch, it's better, but when they're real tight, that's something to look out for. A lot of times you'll get a growth like this one right here, where the branches will actually grow on each other and force a split. So you have to look at any areas where there's some potential openings or weaknesses, like right here. It goes down here. So this tree has some potential for splitting, but this one is a much greater candidate for a split. And you can see on the back side right here where it's actually split and healed. It's open right there all the way down. So this is, when the wind blows, this is opening and closing, opening and closing, and it's just a matter of time. So what do you do about something like this? Well, my recommendation would be to put a cable up here between the two of them and get a lot of weight off on this side. If you don't do it, it will fail. Now, further on, I also noticed that there's another stone pine over here that is also a really good candidate for a split. You can see some weakness in over here. And actually, this is not a stone pine. Those are stone pines. This one's an Aleppo pine. Yeah, there's a difference here. That's interesting. There's a bit of larva from a sequoia pitch moth. Those are interesting. That's a fresh one. If you dig them off there, you see the little guy in there? That's the larva. Let's see if we can find him. Of the sequoia pitch moth. Now, they're not good, but they usually isolate themselves to that one little area in the tree. Let's see if we can pull that off there. There we go. So we're going to dispose of him, and that resolves that problem. Simple as that. Now, the Aleppo pines and the Italian stone pines have different growth characteristics. We don't see the Aleppo pine splitting quite as often as we see the stone pine splitting. And the Aleppo pine is generally a taller tree, and the stone pines are much wider spreading. They're more almost like a big umbrella. So we got a couple of other things going on. You can see that this tree has been stubbed back all the way along on this side over here. So all these branches that have already had cuts on them, those are pretty much going to die off. So that's kind of left the tree a little bit imbalanced over here. So what do you do with a big tree like this? Well, if I lived here, I would probably appreciate the privacy that these trees give, even if it's, you know, just a semblance of a privacy. But the road noise and just the feeling of some privacy. So I would think that these are pretty important. So we got another problem here, that this tree is growing all over the light and it's starting to get out over the road. It's got quite a significant lean to it. As it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, its future is somewhat questionable, because at some point in time the city's going to come along and clear this off of the light, or it's going to lean on the light and cause some problems. In any case, I think if I lived here, I would probably get rid of all three of these stone pines and plant a great big hedge.